Good morning. We start this morning with that great video of past and present board members giving testimonials about their service on the Board of Trustees, sharing how, in many cases, they are the ones who seem to have benefited the most from giving their service. And we show the video this month because, as you heard from Jennifer, our theme for this month is community service, spiritual living through community service. And I think this video captures the heart of the message, which is when you and I get involved in something, when we do something with a heart of service, whether that's volunteering or serving on a board, when we've got the heart of service, everyone benefits. The one being served benefits, the one doing the service benefits, and it's often the case that we get more out of it than what we put into it. So what is a heart of service? I heard a teacher in India once describe it like this. He said, it's what happens when a person is so well fed spiritually that they've got an overflow from which to share from. So they don't get into something like volunteering to get something. They don't need to. They're already fed. They're already fed from within. So their fullness comes from their spiritual practice, not their service. So instead of getting into something to get from it, they get into something to bring, their heart of service. So such a person typically doesn't have an agenda. They don't have a point to prove. Such a person typically doesn't have a mission or the need to make a name for themselves or make their mark on the world because they already know who they are. Such a person typically doesn't have a list of who they will or won't serve based on race, religion, gender, nationality. So that's not an issue. No, such a person tends not to be unhealthily attached to the outcome of their service. Instead, they present themselves just as they are and just as they are not, a spiritual being in progress. They present themselves just like that so that they can be used, so that good may be achieved through them. Now, community service, I'm guessing, is on a lot of people's minds in our nation right now. I'm guessing that spiritual centers and synagogues and temples and churches all over the country are talking about the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey and asking the question, what can I do about it? And we will talk about that too. But first, I'm guessing also that New Thought communities just like ours everywhere are taking a moment to honor the life of a tremendously important figure in our movement, Louise Hay, who passed away last week. Louise Hay is one of those teachers who really put the teaching of Centers for Spiritual Living on the map. Shortly after she became a minister in 1981, she wrote the now famous book, You Can Heal Your Life, which was really a pioneering work about the mind-body connection and the potential that we have within ourselves to increase our wellness by adopting an affirmative state of mind. And many people found their way into our movement through this book and through her teaching. It's also worthwhile noting that in 1985, when the fear of AIDS was very, very high, and those who had it were being shunned by society, and people were dying very quickly and often alone and frequently without the support of family, Louise Hay was not afraid, and she stepped right in. She even relocated from the East Coast to West Hollywood and began teaching people in her home with her somewhat controversial insistence that her students learn to love themselves better. So even with everything going on in our world, it is fitting to speak her name and to acknowledge the passing of a bright light in our movement. And also locally in our Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Rosa, one of our members who predates me in coming to the center passed away last week, Limona Lee Castleberry. And so it is a tender time for our community, a tender time for our movement, and a tender time for our nation. So about the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, I'm guessing that question is on people's mind. What can I do to help? How can I bring my heart of service into play here? And so I want to begin by offering you a resource for your donating consideration. And what I like about this resource, which, by the way, is available on the information table outside, what I like about it is the options that it offers. There are animal rescue agencies. There are 2 different food banks. There is the relief program that was set up by the mayor of Dallas. And importantly, there's a guide for how to give confidently with tips for how to research the authenticity of a charity if you're drawn to give to it. And I think these days it is important to do that kind of research when giving and to ask questions. Like, for example, questions I'm learning from our Book of the Month, Doing Good Better. What area needs my support right now? What service or resource or community is not getting the attention that it may need? And I may need to ask some questions about that. And the book, Doing Good Better, advocates giving consciously like this, by shifting away from reactive knee-jerk giving and shifting into a more informed way of giving. And a person can do that, the author holds, by doing research. And I think he's really asking us to evaluate, to think about the best use we can make of our time and our giving and our attention so that we can do good better. I'm right around about chapter 4 and 5, and I'm really enjoying reading it because it's reminding me of something very important, both in the social context and in the spiritual context. And it's this: the way attention works. What makes us pay attention? Why are we fascinated with this thing but not that thing? These are excellent questions for the person who wants to live a conscious spiritual life, a life that isn't controlled by the media. So this month I'm practicing asking myself, how do I decide what to pay attention to? Is it because it's put in front of my face by somebody else? Is it because it's put in front of me so frequently that I just give up and pay attention to it because it's there? Or do I pay attention more when my emotions are stirred up? And who's stirring up those emotions? I think of attention as a resource. I'm asking the question, am I making the best use of that resource? I think attention is one of our most valuable resources. Sometimes we call it consciousness. And it's valuable because what is in my consciousness influences everything. My choices, my politics, my growth, my stuckness, my voting, my purchasing, my giving, everything. So giving control over my awareness to someone or something else is not a good idea, because that is equal to giving them control over my life. Oh, I can see how it might be easy to give away control of my awareness when I'm not well fed spiritually, because I'll be hungry. And so I'll settle for anything. I might even eat junk food and mistake it for nutrition. And I can see how it might be easier to just think what other people are thinking and just think what other people tell me to think. It's less work, especially if they present themselves as an expert. But it won't be satisfying to the person who wants to live an aware spiritual life. So to feed myself spiritually means putting my attention on ideas that uplift and bring me back to the big picture of the reality of spiritual life. Now, we call that process spiritual mind treatment, or affirmative prayer, if you like, and it's the primary focus of the Beyond Limits class I'm starting to teach in a couple of weeks. In it, we learn how to create personal affirmative prayers, and in short, what they are, they consist of a series of affirmative statements that are very carefully crafted, such as these. Now imagine you're saying this to yourself just before you open Facebook. I know that I am in partnership with the infinite. I accept that infinite intelligence is the reality behind all things. I accept that I am a channel through which that infinite intelligence flows. It is always expressing itself, and it does so right now through these my thoughts of unity. Everything I think about and do is inspired by infinite intelligence. And then you open Facebook. You see, and here are the words so you can read along with me. Perhaps you'd like to say them with me. I know that I am in partnership with the infinite. I accept that infinite intelligence is the reality behind all things. I accept that I am a channel through which that intelligence flows. It is always expressing itself, and it does so right now through my thoughts of unity. Everything I think about and do is inspired by infinite intelligence. Now, the effect of spiritual mind treatments and affirmative statements like this is to recenter our thought in calmness. It is to intervene during those moments when we feel battered or knocked about by the news or current events. Now, spiritual mind treatment will not excuse us from dealing with current events. Spiritual mind treatment will not excuse us from responding to natural disasters, but they can fill us up until there's an overflow. They can set us up to respond from that overflow rather than react. And that overflow awareness is this: what else is also going on right now? You see, because there is always something else going on beyond the thing that I am currently fascinated with. Have you ever become fascinated by something? Teacups, teddy bears, pens, journals, cars, TV shows, whatever. Anybody? You become fascinated until the point where you become a collector of it. Yeah. Oh, I have a friend who collected pigs. Everything that had to do with pigs she collected. Porcelain pig jars, clay pig ornaments, pig pen brooches, pig prints on T-shirts, pigs. And I imagine that at the beginning, everything pig was a pleasure. And every pig was valuable. And then I remember there came a point when she had enough. And you know what happens when you have enough of something? Or when you have too much of something, then it loses the ability to attract your attention and hold it. Its value diminishes. And her attention started to move away from the thing that had fascinated her before. Now, during the pig years, pigs occupied her time and creative energy and her attention. Post-pig era, a whole new world opened up for her. Now, here's the interesting thing. Whether or not she was paying attention to pigs, the world still carried on. The world didn't really change substantially. There were still good things happening, bad things happening, in-between things happening. So when she said no to the final pig present, she experienced a kind of freedom as new energy rushed into her life, and she realized, I could use this new freed up energy to do something. Have you become a collector of pig items? Have you become a collector of bad news information bites? Have you become a collector of evidence for why the world is going to, and yes, I'm going to say it, hell? Have you become a collector of evidence for why it is that you're not happy and can't ever be? And haven't you had enough of pigs? There is always something else going on beyond what I am currently fascinated with. And the fact that we can shift our attention is the good news. Well, I've learned that when I do change what I pay attention to, I do experience a change of life. My life experience changes. It does free up all kinds of energy so that I can notice what my heart of service might want to do. When we pick up our beautiful attention and gently place it where we want it to begin, we set something in motion. We start a chain reaction. And we don't become numb. No, we become powerful. And we don't become compliant. No, we become thoughtful. And we don't become out of touch with reality. No, we become discerning because we have more of ourselves available. Here are some nourishing thoughts to feed on. Imagine saying them to yourself. First thing in the morning, there is an infinite, powerful good in creation, greater than I am. I now accept its action in my life. I know that its strength and vitality flow through me out into everything I think or say or do. I am the embodiment of this infinite power. Its energy and strength is present in me. It guides me to think, to choose, and to act wisely. Or last thing in the evening before you go to bed, saying to yourself, through the power of this infinite intelligence within me, I remain free to contribute to the world in ways that are centered in wisdom and free from superstition. Nothing and no one has the power to manipulate my awareness, for my mind is anchored in the truth of all being, oneness. We can feed ourselves in this way. And we feed ourselves until we're full, and from that overflow, share. In the book, Doing Good Better, he talks about earning in these terms, earning money. And he talks about the point of earning money in a very special way. He says, think of the point of earning money is this, so that we have more to give. Because he notes that not all of us will become firefighters. Not all of us will become first responders. Not all of us are well suited to become doctors. Not all of us can pack up and move to the site of a disaster. But, as he notes, time and money are normally interchangeable. Money can pay for other people's time, and your time can be used to earn that money. So there's no reason to assume the best careers are only those that benefit people directly through the work itself. If we are serious about doing good, think of earning to give as a path to consider. That is something. And he applies it to time, our use of time as well. He wants us to take our thought to our time and how do we use it so that we can use our time to do the best good we can. And it inspired me because recently I received a call from the faith partner liaison for Habitat for Humanity of Sonoma County. You know, he's responsible for bringing faith communities together to build homes in the community. And we talked about the opportunity for our community to build a project together with another faith community that believes in a completely different way. Wouldn't that be something? And so we've got a tentative date. Early in December, you know, all the city processing has to go through first. But if this is something that is interesting to you, stay tuned, because in about 2 weeks, we're going to put out sign-up sheets so that we can get together and build together beyond faith delineation. Oh, that's something. Huh? Now, here are some more nourishing thoughts to feed you. Now, imagine this is your own voice speaking in your own head, saying to yourself, today, I am energized by the vitality of the living Spirit. It fills me with enthusiasm for living and with joyous expectation of good. Every weight or burden of thought or feeling is lifted from me because I know that at the center of my being is a power for good. I dismiss and discard all thoughts that distract me from the truth of my being. I turn resolutely to the power of the one within me, and it circulates through my thinking. I know that always I have a silent partner within me working through me. Now I invite you to breathe in with me. As you exhale, letting your eyes close, let any of the words that linger in your memory stay with you. And using the words that were made famous by Louise Hay, in the infinity of life where I am, all is whole and perfect and complete. For the living Spirit is completely present here and everywhere. And so I yield to this awareness and identify myself as an expression of its perfect power. As I do so, my heart opens, my mind opens, my thought clarifies, and I realize that I'm in the right place at the right time, and that there is a wisdom within me that knows what it is and knows how to express itself in this world, and it is guiding me right now. My heart of service is open, my mind is clear. And so I give thanks for this realization. I give thanks for this realization of wholeness and oneness, and I look forward to expressing it in the world. And together we say, and so it is. Now I invite you to breathe in once more, and to exhale, sighing.